So today we have a very special guest who is a pioneer in this area who has been dealing with Muslim estate planning for the last 25 years. He is also constantly exploring new grounds and has recently written an entire book on Muslim estate planning. So make sure you stay till the end of this video where we will unveil a powerful sales angle and script for all of you. Hello Sadali.
Hello.
Yeah, it's nice to be here today with us. So why don't you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. So I've been in industry more than 25 years, doing a lot of research, and interestingly my PhD is on this area of estate planning for Muslim in Singapore context.
What, do you have a PhD in Muslim estate planning?
In Singapore context.
This is my first time hearing that somebody has a PhD in estate planning and narrowly focusing on Muslim estate
In
planning.
Singapore context.
Wow, okay. So why don't you share with the audience, like, who are your clients? What's the profile of them?
Most of them are family people, family men, professionals, some business people. The idea was actually to protect their family.
Okay, so most of them, they have like loved ones, right?
Loved one, they realize that the current Muslim Faraid Law or the Muslim Intestate Succession Act, so-called, may not be able to fulfill their intention objective. They have to get it done within in Singapore context based on Muslim law.
Right, okay. So are they mainly like males, females, or you have a good mix of both of them?
Oh yeah, they are family people. Normally the husband and wife will have to do the planning.
Okay.
Couples, yeah. Of course we have single men, they also want to do young women.
Okay, so a good mix, right?
Yeah, good mix. Especially now, there's a lot of women, single women in Singapore, female women, they want to ensure that their wealth is properly transferred to what they want, where it's supposed to go.
Right. You pointed out a very good point. There's a group of women who are probably single,
Yes.
professionals, who want to make sure that estate planning is definitely one of the areas that they want to take care of, right?
Right.
Okay, and I understand earlier that there are 3 unique characteristics when it comes to the ISA for Muslims. Do you mind to share with us what are those 3?
The first characteristic is that the gender issue, the ratio of male-female, the female will get half of what the male gets. That means the son and daughter, the son will get 2 times of what the daughter will be getting. Then the other thing is that the Faraid law is being applied rigidly by the community.
Okay, so you're saying that males get 2 shares,
Correct.
females get 1 share, and that is by default.
Yes, by default.
I see. Wow, okay. And what about the second characteristic? You mentioned that if there's no son or there's no father, basically there's no male heirs in the family,
Yes.
and what will happen?
So if there's no primary heir in the family, primary heir I'm referring to children and parent. Okay, if there's no male primary heir, then there's tendency that the siblings may come to the picture, or even an uncle may come to the picture.
Right.
And in some scenario, if they don't have any siblings or uncle, then Baitumal, which is vested into MUIS, they will come to the show.
Okay,
They will have an interest in their estate.
Right, so let's break it down. So you're saying that, Sadali, if there's no male heirs in the family, no son or no father, so the siblings of the deceased will actually come in to assume the role of beneficiaries.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And if let's say there are no beneficiaries, then the deceased share of the estate will flow to MUIS.
Yes.
And what happens after that? And who gets the money?
Basically, once you go to Baitumal, MUIS will have the money. They will use it for the public interest itself.
Oh, okay.
But the family members may not get the full amount. The daughter's example.
Right.
If you only have a daughter and nobody else, then she only get half. Half will go to Baitumal or MUIS.
Wow. So for those of you who are listening in, if you have Muslim clients, right, and in their family there are no sons, and the father has gone before them, then this is something that they need to know.
Oh yes, they need to know this very well.
Oh wow. Okay. It's something new to me, and I'm just learning along the way. So what about the third characteristic of the ISA?
The third characteristic of the ISA, the Faraid law, is that the beneficiary must at all times be a Muslim.
Okay, that's fair, right? To be a Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that if you have a convert who have a parent, living parent, or non-Muslims.
Okay, so a husband and wife, right?
Yes.
So if both of them are Muslims, and it's straightforward.
No problem.
Okay, now, and in today's context, we are seeing a lot of cross-religion, cross-culture marriages, right? So for example, if the husband is a Muslim and the wife is a Chinese, for example.
Correct.
All right, and so what happens if, let's say, they come together and I understand the wife probably will convert to a Muslim? So that solves the problem, right?
Yes,
Husband and wife
if she convert to Muslim, it solves the problem. But if she doesn't convert to Muslim, then they will have their marriage done in ROM, Register of Marriage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, RM.
And then if they have children, then it will be an unfortunate situation when the children and the spouse will not be able to inherit from the husband or the father's estate.
So you're saying that if the husband is a Muslim, the
Yes.
wife is a non-Muslim, and they go and register their marriage, right, a legal marriage, and should something happen to the father, who's
Correct.
a Muslim,
Yes.
the children will not inherit anything
From the father
from the father
estate.
under the Intestate Succession Act.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I wonder
Under
how
the
many-
Muslim, under Faraid Law.
I wonder how many financial consultants actually know of this and advise their clients appropriately, right? So what happens if, let's say, just now you were sharing with me that even if the wife or the husband converts to a Muslim, there is still a small little gap or a shortfall or blind spot. And what is that blind spot about the parents? If they convert both into Muslims,
But if a parent non-Muslim, which most cases the parent may not be Muslim,
Yeah,
because the one who converts is the child, correct? So the parent will not be able to inherit from the own child.
right. That's a serious problem. So even if the child, which is the non-Muslim, converts to a Muslim, and should something happen, right, the parents will not be able to inherit because they are non-Muslims.
Correct.
That is pretty strict, right?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
how the system works.
Okay, wow, learning new things. So those are the three unique characteristics. But you know what? The best way to learn for is to apply them into scenarios. So I have actually prepared 3 scenarios to ask Sadali, and hopefully that will share more light in terms of the 3 unique characteristics. So here you go. Scenario number 1. What if a single, non-married, no children, single passes on? So a single Muslim passes on with parents around. Can you tell us who will get this single share?
Okay, this single share will goes to the parent.
Goes to the parent? Okay, for me that's
The,
fair.
the father may get at least 2 times of what the mother may get.
Oh, yeah, because of the first characteristic.
Correct.
Ratio
But,
2:1.
This is sounds okay, right? But what happens if the father eventually abandoned them and the mother was actually a single mother?
Oh, so it's a problem if the single passes on where the father has predeceased.
No problem. The father actually have left the family,
Okay.
divorced.
So it's basically a single mom.
Single mom who raised the child
Okay, then what
till
happens?
the day he died.
So what happens?
The share will still be the same, but the question is there justice when the father get more than the mother? When the mother was the one who raised the child. If the father is still around, but divorced, which the divorce rate in Singapore is very high among the Muslim, 1 in 4. So there are cases where a single parent mother will raise a child, but she still get the least amount. And the father who have actually have not been looking after the child have suddenly get more
That's
share than the mother.
That's a problem, right? That the mother is the one who raised the child single-handedly.
Yeah, it is a problem.
But she only gets 1/3 of the deceased
Yeah.
child, and 2/3 goes
Up
to
to
the
1/3.
father who probably had not even invested or spent much time to
Correct.
raise the child.
Possible.
And what happens if the father is not around anymore? Does the full share goes to the mother?
And the share may go to the siblings. The mother will still get the amount, either 1/6 or 1/3.
That's
It depends.
not fair, right?
Yeah, 1/6 or 1/3. It depends. If they have more siblings, then she'll get 1/6. If she has only one sibling, then the mother will get 1/3. But the sibling will still get the bigger share.
So in no way the mother will be able to inherit the full 100%
No way.
because she's a female.
Precisely. She's the mother.
I get you. Okay, now, so that's very clear for singles. How about scenario number 2, where we talk about family, Muslim family with 3 young children, okay? With 3 young children, and of course the parents are around, means that the children's grandparents are still around, right? So how would it pan out to be if the husband passes on?
The husband passes on, then the wife will get 1/8 of the share.
1/8?
The parent of the wife,
The parent?
parent of the husband, sorry. The parent of the husband who the deceased will get 1/6 each.
So the parents of the deceased husband,
Yes.
gets more than the wife.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Then the rest will go to the children in ratio of 2:1 if there is a boy.
Right, because of the earlier characteristic, right?
Yes.
2 is to 1. Oh, so isn't that a problem, right? When we talk about the husband and wife, they're both taking care of their kids. And in estate planning, in modern context, it's very common, especially in Singapore, where we will just pass on our inheritance to our spouse, such that they will take care of the children, especially if they are still minors. But in this case, you're saying that the wife would only get 1/8 of the share.
Oh yes.
What if it's the other way around? If let's say in the Muslim family, but the wife passes on,
Yeah, and then the husband will get a quarter of a share.
a quarter.
The parent will still get 1/6 each.
Oh, so in
Then
this
the rest-
case, it's the other way around. If the wife passes on, the
Yeah.
husband will get more than the wife's parents.
Husband will
It's
get more
one
than
quarter.
the wife. Yes, 1/4. Yes.
Oh, okay, I see, I get it.
Okay.
So all of you get it. So that's a difference. Because in non-Muslim ISA, we normally take them to be equal. Like male
Yeah.
and female, we take it to be, if it's one share to male, it's one share to a female. It's very straightforward. So in this case, under Muslim estate planning, that will be a different. There will be a difference depending on the gender. That's based on
Yeah, very important,
characteristics.
yeah.
Very important. Okay, so in other words, males do get more under Muslim.
Correct. They do get more in terms of shares, and they also get more in terms of responsibilities to support the female. But unfortunately, in today's event, this hardly happens where the male support the female. They have 2 shares because the Quran is very clear. They're supposed to look after the female expenses. So this is where, in my experience, many Muslim couples are not in favor of giving more to the male. They rather have equal share among the children.
Yeah, because we are living in a first world nation here in Singapore, and most people, even for the females, they are earning quite a good income.
Yeah, they are also contributed to the economy nowadays, not in the
That's
past.
right, that's right.
So this is something that the Muslim must think about, because of course the Faraid Law is to be applied. Remember, it's to be applied only at the point when you do not do any planning.
Okay.
That means dying intestate.
Yeah, which we will talk about that in a
Yeah.
short moment, right? Okay, so the third scenario, what if there are no children? So a Muslim couple, all right, male and female, they have no children, but the parents are around. So what will happen if, let's say, the male were
The
to
husband.
go off first, right?
Okay, husband pass away, the wife will get a quarter only.
Okay, a
Then the
quarter,
3/4 will go to the father and mother
which is the
in ratio of
husband's
2 to 1.
parents.
Yes.
So the husband who passed on first will give 3/4 to his parents.
Yes, to his parents. That means the father will get half, the mother will get a quarter, and the wife will get a quarter.
Okay, okay. I'm excited to find out. So what happened if it's the other way around? If a Muslim couple with no children, but the wife passes on first.
Okay, the wife pass on first, then the husband will get half,
Wow.
then the father will get 1/3,
Okay.
the mother will get 1/6.
Okay,
2 to 1 ratio.
So it proved our point earlier that in the third scenario, in the event, if let's say the wife passes on first, actually the husband will get half,
Yes.
which is more compared to the husband passes on.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So there you go. We have 3 different scenarios that we applied the unique characteristics of Muslims, ISA. So you know what, Sadali, let's move on. You talk about the Faraid Law. So where does this term arise from, and how practical is it to enforce in today's context?
The source of Faraid Law is very clear. It's from the primary source is the Quran.
From the Quran, okay.
Quran and the Hadith, or the tradition of the Prophet. And then they are also they also come from what we call it the ijtihad, or the opinion of Sahabat, or the companion upon time. So it's important to know that not all the Faraid distribution that we have experienced in today's context are from the Quranic text.
Okay, so you're saying that
there were modifications made by the Prophet, I mean the companion in the past, to adjust, to achieve justice
Okay, so you're mainly saying that the Faraid law comes mainly from the Quran,
Yes.
the Hadith,
Yes.
and also some other sources.
Yes.
And it has went through a lot of amendments,
Yes, there are a lot of changes.
a lot of
in the
changes
past.
in the past,
Yeah.
and it's still changing.
It is still
Still
developing.
evolving.
Yeah, evolving. A lot of scholars are not questioning the issues now.
So in that sense, would the administrator of the deceased estate, right, be complied to follow the Faraid law? Can he follow, or can he say, no, I'm not going to do that because this is not fair, females will need more? Can he be sued?
Yeah, in Singapore context, because we have this AMLA. AMLA is Imitation Muslim Law Act that governs the Muslim estate matter.
Okay.
So it's very clear that the Muslim, when they die intestate, they have to apply the Faraid law.
Oh, okay, so
They
it's
have no
mandatory.
choice. Yeah. If
And
they
if
die
they don't,
intestate, yeah.
if the administrator do not follow, does not follow,
They are binded by the law. So if they did not follow, then of course they can be sued.
has it happened before, in your opinion?
They actually, what happened? They contest, they challenge the distribution. So they go back to Faraid law.
Yeah, I can imagine that there will be a lot of contest because
There will be.
okay, I believe you have seen a lot in your 25 years of experience. Right. So just another question as a follow-up question for that. So what are the steps to file for a probate in a Muslim estate planning? Right? Is it the same as how non-Muslims do it? Go to the probate, get a lawyer, go to the probate court.
Yeah, it's the same process actually. Same process. Just that you have additional requirement that you have to get the inheritance certificate of Sharia court that will stipulate the breakdown based on Faraid law.
Right.
And this is very important for Muslims to realize that the certificate inheritance of Sharia court the inheritance certificate of Sharia court is nothing more than just an opinion of the Sharia court of the distribution.
Right.
So, which means that it is actually not binded to the Muslim or to the law.
But it's still a mandatory.
It's something that they can use as a guide.
Okay. Wow. So since you talk about the Faraid law, which is such an important law to follow, that means that for Muslims there's nothing much they can do, right? Or are there any misconceptions regarding this area?
Oh, the Faraid law is just one of the many laws in Muslim laws on estate or asset transfer.
Okay.
So unfortunately, in the past, many people are not familiar with other kind of mechanism except Faraid and the will.
So there are many other ways.
There are many other ways that can be done.
I see. Okay, which you will share on in a short moment. So this is a very important question that most financial consultants would love to ask. So should a Muslim write a will? Can he do so? And is there any reason for him or should to do it?
I should say that a Muslim should, not should, a Muslim must do estate planning, because the wealth that they have acquired is a trust, amanah, a trust. So they have to ensure that the wealth actually goes to the right people, the right source, for the right objective.
That's right.
So if you rely on the Muslim Intestate Succession Act, so-called, if you rely on the Muslim Intestate Succession Law, which is a Faraid law alone, you realize that the distribution may not be what you want. What happens if you have a son who is not good, is rascal, he gets most of the asset, and they use asset to do un-Islamic things like drugs, prostitution, gambling, you name it. And then you allow him to inherit the biggest share of your estate. So what is your liability?
That's right. That's right. So true. Aspect? Yeah, and I understand that you mentioned earlier that the Faraid law, basically the Intestate Succession Act, applies to 2/3 of an individual's estate. And if you write a will, that could only apply to 1/3 of your estate, right?
Correct.
Okay, and there's another condition, not just 1/3, but also to some beneficiaries.
Correct.
Yeah, would you mind to explain on that?
Okay, this is where the new tools that Eugene was talking about, the will, Islamic will. Islamic will is very restricted. You can only give up to 1/3 of the estate, remember? And the beneficiary for the will cannot be people who are getting from the Faraid share, which means your primary heir, your spouse, your children, your parent will get their share under Faraid breakdown. Then the will go somewhere else, to other organizations, to friends, So we can only will 1/3 away to people.
Like to charity, for example.
Charity. Then the 2/3 will be reserved for the Faraid beneficiary.
Understand.
So you cannot make a will to give to your son more or your daughter more than the son.
You can't.
It doesn't work that way. The will doesn't apply. The will have its own characteristics, own principle.
So in other words, the will is meant for you to give non-family members.
Correct.
Okay, I see.
Just not getting.
So in other words, it makes sense that nobody wants to do will, right?
Yeah, precisely. Not many people do wills. In our experience, most of them will not be looking at wills as a mechanism for disposal of the asset.
And I can imagine, because you know, in my course of our experience in asset planning, we always talk about how you should not be. Some assets are not meant to be split. Like for example,
Correct.
if I have a watch or I have a painting as a heirloom, how do I split that painting, right? How do I split the 2/3 and 1/3? So if that's the case, how would, let's say, you know, a Muslim does a will, sets 1/3 of his estate to an organization. So how? I don't understand, how would the assets being split?
It becomes very complicated because the asset must be disposed. But since you cannot destroy the asset, if you cut the asset into pieces, then has no value at all. So the only way is to get the other party, the other legal heir, to buy over the share. They will, among themselves, they will find ways to resolve. Those who want the pain, they have to pay.
And they have to decide on the price?
Oh yeah, they have to agree on the price.
They have to
of course, it
decide
has to be
a
fair
value.
price. Yes.
Wow, I'm
Very
sure it's
complicated.
contentious in that sense.
Very, very contentious.
So Sadali, that's amazing. So we talk about if a Muslim is unhappy about the 2/3 Faraid law, and yet at the same time, you know, it's not able to find a solution because it's only 1/3 that he can will away.
Yeah.
So what is the next step? Like, how can we circumvent this for our Muslim clients?
Yeah, this is where the experts have to be engaged. You know? Because in Singapore context, there are many assets. You're looking at insurance, investment, and all these assets work differently in terms of claim upon demise.
Yep.
Correct. So we have to apply the will and also the contemporary Muslim law of gift. Example, nomination on
Right.
CPF, insurance policies,
Right.
and then the gift is very complex. What we normally experience that we apply the conditional gift together with nomination and insurance. Taking into consideration our Singapore law, there are mechanisms that are civil in nature but Sharia compliant, which MUIS have endorsed in the past, like CPF nomination as Hibah, insurance nomination as Hibah,
Right.
and then the joint tenancy is also acceptable, joint tenancy concept, you know. And then the latest one is also the SNTC
Special
trust,
needs.
special needs trust is also acceptable by the Muslim. So it shows the development in Muslim law in Singapore
Right.
context. So we have contemporary laws that we got to look at and apply. And in Singapore context, it can be done actually.
So you're saying that actually MUIS and I also understand that the Fatwa Committee in 2007 to 2010, they have actually encouraged Muslims to do up their CPF nomination.
Yes.
To push them to actually set up their lasting power attorney with the Office of Public
Correct.
Guardian.
Correct.
So you know, for those of you who are listening in, Muslims can actually, and they are strongly encouraged to do up their CPF nomination
Correct.
and to establish their lasting power of attorney if they have not done so, and also their insurance nominations.
Precisely.
And these are all approved mechanisms.
These are all so-called civil law in nature, but acceptable under contemporary Muslim law actually. This is where the Muslim law is a dynamic law.
Right.
It changes from time to time where you are.
Okay, so we got it. We have to, if you have a Muslim client, make sure that you show them that they are actually encouraged to do their CPF, their lasting power attorney, and also their insurance nomination.
Yes, and all the asset transfer.
Okay, so what are the things that, you know, we talk about asset transfers.
Yeah.
So what other things can they do aside these three, which most of them are very familiar with?
Yeah, of course, this is something that many Muslims not familiar with. They call it the conditional hibah.
Conditional hibah.
Yeah, Hibah Al Ruqbua, which Malaysia have accepted it well. Okay.
Right.
So in Singapore, there are many many professionals are still not familiar with the Hibah Al Ruqbua.
So what is Hibah Al Ruqbua? Can you explain to your
Hibah Al Ruqbua is conditional hibah where the asset is only transferred upon our demise, upon the donor's demise. It's something unique. You cannot equate it as a will, nor can you equate it as a Faraid Law, because it's a gift that is conditional. It encompasses concept of gift and concept of trust in Islam actually.
So it is basically expressing one's intention
Yes.
to give an item, a specific gift,
Yes.
to any beneficiary out
Correct.
there upon the demise.
Yes, you can even give to your own children. This is the beauty part of it. Whereas the wasiat, the will, you cannot will to your children.
Because it's unwanted.
Yes.
I remember that point.
So the hibah allows you to do this.
Right. So it's basically just a set of documents that expresses the wishes
Yes.
of an individual.
Correct.
And it can be done together with the will.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many hibahs have you
I
seen?
done maybe more than 1,000 hibahs.
More than
Everything
1,000
went through
hibahs.
well. We don't have any test case in Singapore court yet on this subject of Hibah Al Ruqbua. So far we have went through well of Hibah Al Ruqbua because we covered the angle very well. That many people just don't want to dispute the Hibah anymore.
Right.
Just accept
Because
it
it is
is.
my intention and I signed it.
Correct.
Do I have to sign it in front of two witnesses?
Oh yeah. There's a protocol, a process to doing it. It's
Right.
not just signing the hibah like that. There is a pronunciation, there is a clear indication, and
Right.
it also has to do just.
Right. So there's a
So
proper process.
we have a situation in the past where the mother want to give. She has two sons.
Okay.
Okay, son A, son B. She want to give only to son A because son A stay with her. Son B stay with the father. They have divorced.
Okay.
See? So she don't want to give to son B, only son A. I told her it can be done, but in the day of judgment, you and me will be barbecue, will be burned. Why? Because when you do that, son A and son B, they will completely clash. They will definitely clash among themselves, and when they clash, it means the ties will be broken. So many ties is broken. In the Quran, very clear. Whoever caused the ties to break, his place is in hell.
Wow. Okay.
So when you do the Hibah Al Ruqbua, you have to do justice. You have to see justification. Make sure that it is just to all parties.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as how I normally tell my clients that you can do whatever you want, but you have to make sure that it's logical, it's just,
Yes.
such that it is able to withstand contest,
Yeah.
and it's so important.
Yeah, I mean, good example you can do. If you have 5 children, one child is a special child,
Yeah.
and you know the child will not get married, the child will never get the job, right? You can hibah to her. You can hibah to a particular child, right? To protect the child's interest, so the sibling will not be getting any share at the point of time. But when the child passes away, you go back to the sibling,
Right.
right? So this is important, that the duty of every Muslim is to protect the needy in the family.
Okay, that's
The
very
needy in the
good.
family.
Yeah. No, coming to that, I mean, thanks for sharing. It's really very helpful. I have just one more question. How about assets like with joint tenancy, joint accounts, joint bank accounts that in non-Muslims estate distribution, we normally assume the rule of survivorship, right? So the survivor will actually inherit whatever is remaining in the bank accounts.
Yeah.
Does it apply in this
Based on my
case?
experience, the joint account banks, it's very tricky. Some banks, I know of some banks, they treated the joint account as joint tenancy principle.
Okay.
That means survivorship will get it.
Yeah.
Okay. In Islamic context and under Muslim law, joint tenancy is acceptable, no issue. The only problem we have with joint account sometimes within father and daughter, example, or father and son. Okay?
Right.
Joint account, they may not be joint tenancy in principle.
Okay, it's more like a resulting trust, right?
Yeah, in fact, I'm not sure whether they call it trust, because there are cases where the joint account, the father adopted a child, they put joint account with the adopted child. She withdrew all the money because joint account, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And then the father's children and the brother contest to comply to the Faraid Law. And then she has to return back the money to Faraid Law.
So in
She
other
cannot
words,
take the money.
The Faraid Law may step in to supersede joint accounts
When you don't plan.
when you don't plan.
Yes.
But if you, so how do we circumvent that? We should indicate it if, let's say, it's meant for the other
Yeah, you
party.
indicate in your Hibah deed, you know,
Hibah
that
Ruqbua,
this
yeah.
particular account is joint account with my so and so. So
I hear you.
It's
I
meant
hear
for
you.
meant for the person.
So for due diligence, it's always better
Yeah, better to plan.
include
Yeah.
in the Hibah Ruqbua
Correct.
to express your wish that this amount of money that's left behind this account of mine is meant for my son,
So.
my daughter.
Yeah.
I see. Wow, that is very, very, very important. So Sadali. So how can a financial consultant approach their Muslim clients when it comes to Muslim estate planning?
Yeah. Based on my experience, financial consultant, you basically advise the client on the financial aspect of it, right? And if you look at it, the objective of them making wealth, creating wealth, protecting wealth, it is for who? It is for their primary beneficiary.
That's right.
Their primary children, the primary beneficiary, which are the children, the spouse, and sometimes the parent. You know?
That's right.
So if you realize that the Faraid system cannot cater for what he wants to protect, how he wants to protect his children, then there's a need for him to look into proper estate planning, not applying the Faraid law, applying other laws, other Muslim laws like the conditional Hibah concept.
Right.
Okay? So this is where the duty, the misunderstanding they have is that they cannot plan. Everything must go to Faraid law. But what we have discussed recently, the development even in MUIS, where they have endorsed nomination, they have endorsed joint tenancy, they endorsed SNTC trust. So which means that Islamic law, there's a lot of tools there. It's not just the Faraid law.
That's right.
So this is the problem that we have in the community. Many of them are still have the stigma of looking at Faraid as the law.
Yeah.
It's not the law. It is just one of the many laws
One of the many laws
that the
that's
Muslim can actually use in today's context.
Right. Very good.
Even in Malaysia, they have actually established the Hibah Al Ruqbua contract very well.
Okay, and it has been tested in court.
Yeah, there are a few cases went through court. But Singapore, no test case yet.
Okay.
But doesn't mean cannot be done.
Yeah. As promised earlier in the earlier part of the video, I will share with a script from what I heard from Sadali, and this script is something that you can actually use in all of your appointments with Muslims family. So here you go. It says, Mr. Client, all Muslims can do estate planning in the modern context. The traditional Faraid law may not fulfill your objectives in distributing to your loved ones. There is a way whereby you can apply contemporary tools in wealth transfer that will ensure that you comply with the Muslim law in a Singapore context. And with that, we have come to an end of the interview. But before we end it, Sadali, would you like to show us the book that you have recently written about this Hibah Ruqbua?
Yeah, this is the latest book on Hibah. Okay, all kind of Hibah, and this is about another issue on Faraid system. Okay, the Hibah Al Ruqbua book covers about the traditional Hibah concept and the contemporary Hibah concept, and how we actually harmonize the civil system of nomination in line with the Hibah concept.
Wow, there you go. If you are thinking of a gift or a specific item to bless your Muslim clients and family, this is the book that you certainly must get. And where can we find this book?
Or you can get it from Wardah Bookshop, or you can give me a call.
Okay.
Wardah Bookshop is at Busara Street.
Alright, awesome. So, thank you once again, Sadali, for agreeing to do this interview, because this is clearly an area that really lack awareness. So if you like this video, to stay tuned to the other episodes that I have, or subscribe to this channel below, and I'll see you in the next episode.